I'm not exaggerating when I say this. What happened on Monday Night Raw may go down as the most shocking moment of 2026 and one of the biggest twists in modern wrestling history. Chris Jericho? Yes, that Chris Jericho, the man who became the public face of WWE, who repeatedly swore he was done with WWE for good, who positioned himself as the ultimate symbol of the alternative, just walked onto Raw and saved CM Punk from a brutal assault. And while WWE fans are celebrating like this is some glorious homecoming, what we actually witnessed was something far darker. This was the public collapse of AEW's credibility, the clearest indictment yet of Tony Khan's leadership, and undeniable proof that loyalty in wrestling only lasts until WWE makes the right offer. Let's be clear, this is not a feel-good moment. This is not some heartwarming return story. This is a betrayal of AEW's identity, of everything it claimed to stand for, and of the idea that WWE finally had real competition. Chris Jericho's return is thrilling as a fan, but it's also ugly, revealing, and potentially fatal for AEW as a serious long-term promotion. If you missed Raw or are still trying to process what happened, here's how it unfolded. CM Punk was in the ring delivering a promo about finally finding stability again in WWE. He spoke about redemption, about Raw being the highest stage in professional wrestling, and about chasing championships once more. Then the lights went out. When they came back on, Punk was surrounded by the Vision. The Vision has been presented as Raw's most dangerous faction, a group that claims to reject WWE's corporate structure and wants to dismantle it from the inside. They've been portrayed as ruthless, ideological, and uncontrollable. What followed wasn't just an angle, it was a beating designed to feel excessive. Punk was attacked 5-on-1. Finishers. Total domination. Commentary sold it as career-threatening. Security was useless. Other wrestlers tried to intervene and were wiped out. This was a statement assault. Then the music hit. Break the walls down. The building exploded. Phones were instantly in the air. That song hadn't played on WWE television in over 5 years. When Chris Jericho walked onto the stage, the disbelief was visible on everyone's faces, fans, commentators, even the members of the Vision. Jericho wasn't easing into the moment. He sprinted to the ring, dropped the first attacker with a codebreaker, then another, and cleared house with urgency and intensity. The Vision retreated. Jericho helped Punk to his feet. Two men with decades of shared history stood together as the crowd chanted in disbelief. WWE went to commercial with that image. Chris Jericho. On Raw. Saving CM Punk. So how did this happen? According to multiple sources, Jericho's AEW contract quietly expired weeks ago. No announcement. No farewell. No acknowledgement. W continued advertising him as if nothing had changed because Tony Khan was desperately trying to re-sign him and didn't want WWE knowing he was available. WWE found out anyway. Triple H and Paul Heyman moved quickly. They offered Jericho a deal that matched AEW financially but exceeded it in every other way: fewer dates, creative input, a clear storyline, and long-term security through a Legends contract. Jericho, despite years of public loyalty to AEW, had growing private frustrations, creative disagreements, concerns about direction, doubts about AEW's future stability. When WWE presented a serious, structured plan that respected his age, legacy, and long-term value, he took it. That's not emotion, that's business. The debut itself was no accident. WWE knew exactly what they were doing by pairing Jericho with CM Punk. These two shared deep history, classic matches, legendary promos, and parallel career arcs. Both left WWE unhappy. Both proved themselves elsewhere. Both came back under dramatically different circumstances. Punk's return was chaotic and controversial. Jericho's was clean, calculated, and devastating for AEW. From a storytelling perspective, it's brilliant. Jericho instantly has relevance. Punk gains protection. The Vision has credible opposition. WWE creates the narrative that careers eventually circle back to them, that no matter where you go, WWE is the final destination. Now let's talk about the fallout because this is where things get ugly. Chris Jericho wasn't just another AEW wrestler. He was their first world champion, their most recognizable veteran, their symbol of legitimacy. His presence reassured fans, networks, and talent that AEW could retain stars and build long-term. His departure shatters that illusion. If Jericho can leave, anyone can. Every AEW contract negotiation just became harder. Every top talent now knows WWE is always an option. Every network executive now sees AEW as less stable. At a time when AEW is already facing declining ratings and uncertainty around its media future, losing Jericho sends exactly the wrong message. And the fan reaction exposes something uncomfortable. When wrestlers left WWE for AEW, it was framed as courage, integrity, artistic freedom. But Jericho leaving AEW for WWE? Suddenly it's smart business. Suddenly loyalty doesn't matter. This hypocrisy reveals the truth. Most fans don't actually care about alternatives. They want WWE to win. Jericho's motivation wasn't just money. At 55, this is about legacy, workload, and relevance. WWE offers WrestleMania moments, massive audiences, reduced physical strain. AEW can't compete with that, no matter how passionate its fanbase is. Now Jericho enters a storyline where he stands against an anti-corporate faction, despite being the ultimate example of someone who tried the alternative and came back. Whether WWE acknowledges his AEW run or quietly erases it will say a lot about how confident they feel about the competition. What happens next seems clear. Jericho will be heavily featured. He'll elevate younger talent. He'll likely feud with Punk at a major event. WWE will use him as proof that they are the industry's peak. Meanwhile, AEW will be forced to respond, or risk a downward spiral. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Jericho's return is incredible television. It's also terrible for wrestling's ecosystem. Competition makes the industry better. Options empower wrestlers. If WWE becomes the only true destination again, history tells us what follows: stagnation. This moment will be remembered either as a brilliant shock or as the beginning of the end for AEW's dream. Possibly both. The walls didn't just break down for Chris Jericho. They may have collapsed for AEW.